Hi everybody, and thanks for tuning in to this week's yoga video. This video is going to be a slow flow for beginners. Actually, anybody can do this, but it has the beginner in mind. Somebody who is relatively new to yoga but is ready to do more of a slow flow but isn't quite ready for a full Ashtanga Vinyasa practice that's just like a little bit more athletic and doing lots of crazy things very fast. So this is sort of a power practice, very short power practice that goes slow with the flow. So you can get a good stretch, and we're also going to be using 2 blocks. These blocks are by Bhoga. They're really cool because they're just designed really well. This side is round so you can grab on. This side is nice and flat so you can bring it and leave it up tall. I'm a big fan of these blocks. If you don't have these particular blocks, that's okay. Don't let your not having these props make it so you don't do the video. Use something else, use a big book or place your order or use other blocks or whatever it is that you have so that you can get a great practice in. When you're ready, let's go ahead and get started by having a seat on the mat. So come into a comfortable seated position, and for a lot of people it's hard to sit up nice and tall. So if you're struggling with that, you can bring 2 blocks underneath, and you can bring your knees together or close, and then your shins to either side of the blocks, and just sit tall here. Roll your shoulders back, place your hands down on your thighs, close your eyes, and take a deep breath in through your nose as you begin to settle in. At the top of the inhale, gently exhale through your mouth. And we'll do that one more time through. Just letting go of any stress, anything you're carrying with you today that is not serving you. See if you can just set that aside for a second and come into the present moment. No thoughts, no worries, no distractions, just your breath. And then without actually smiling, see if you can bring the sensation of a smile to your face. And let that sensation uplift you and inspire your practice today. On your next inhale, quietly open up your eyes. Lift your arms up overhead. And as you exhale, plug the arms into your torso. And then from here, take your right hand to the left side of your head. And then bring your left arm down and gently draw your right ear to your right shoulder. Breathe into the side of the neck. Close your eyes if that feels good for you. And as you inhale, open the eyes, lift the right arm, then reach up and over your body just ever so slightly to get a good stretch in the side body and come back to center. Then lift your left arm. Take the left fingers to the right side of the head. Gently draw the left ear towards your left shoulder. Close your eyes. Breathe into the right side of the neck. Relax your right shoulder away from your ear. And let your breath be like a comb that moves through any tangles, any tension that you have in your body. So keep the breath fluid and strong. And as you inhale, gently release. Bring your right fingers down to the ground. Lift your left arm up and over, making space in between the ribs. And as you come back to center, gently come up off your blocks and come into all fours. So you can just set the blocks aside for right now. So coming into all fours, fingers are spread, wrists, elbows, and shoulders are in one long line. Take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, send your hips back to child's pose. Reach your arms out in front. Knowing that this is your go-to pose if at any point you need a break. With each exhale, feel your body melt down into the ground. And as you inhale, round forward onto all fours. And we're just going to step the right foot up to the front of the mat here. And bring your blocks by your side. And then lift up to find good alignment. And then on your next inhale, send your hips forward. Breathe into the left hip flexor. Stay here. Or if you feel okay here, you can lift your heart. And this helps to release any compression we may have on the low back. If you kind of just sink into it here, you can compress the low back. If you lift your heart, then you're creating a nice round in your back, which is what you want, or rather a round in your chest, like a back bend. If you feel really great here, you can lift your arms. If that's too much for you, just keep your fingers right on your blocks, just the fingertips. And then when you're ready, we're going to begin to straighten the front leg. The right toes can lift up off the ground and you can melt forward. Just breathing space into the right hamstring. This is our first hamstring stretch of the day. So go easy on yourself. It doesn't need to be perfect. And on your next inhale, we're going to come forward. Bring the hands down to the mat and step back for all fours. And then we'll take it to the other side. So left foot steps forward. Blocks come back on the ground. Bring the fingers onto the blocks. See if you can lift your heart here. And then on your next inhale, fill up the lungs completely and exhale, send your hips forward. Fingertips remain on the block as you find your balance. Roll your shoulders back and then begin to lift your heart, taking your gaze ever so slightly up. An option to stay there or lift your arms. Breathing into the right hip flexor. Lifting the heart, feeling a good stretch in the front body. And then when you're ready, bring your fingertips down to the blocks and slowly begin to straighten out the front leg, letting the left toes lift. Take a deep breath and elongate your spine. And exhale, melt forward. Letting your forearms rest on the block. And then on your next inhale, come forward, gently step back. We're going to go right into downward facing dog here, first one of the day. So you're welcome to keep your blocks on the mat. You're going to want to take them about shoulder distance. And then from here, curl your toes and lift up for downward facing dog. Now, using blocks is a great option for beginners because it essentially lifts the ground so you can get your heels down to the ground. If you don't have blocks, you're just going to want to bend your knees. Let your head hang heavy. No tension in your neck. Push the ground away from you with your palms making your armpits long. And on your next inhale, step forward to the front of the mat with your right leg. Come up onto your fingertips, elongate the spine. Then as you inhale, lift your arms up overhead for high lunge. We're going to come right into a warrior two here. Feel that your arms are parallel with the ground. Look down at your back foot to see that the outer edge of the foot is parallel to the short edge of the mat. On your next inhale, come forward with just the torso, so your right leg stays exactly where it is. And then bring the right hand down to the ground. Now, if it's too much for you to bring it down to the ground, you can use the block. And if this is still too much for you, you can turn your block so that it's really tall. An option to look up to your left thumb or look down to the ground, whatever feels best for your neck. Keep that left foot rooted into the ground. Keep that sensation of reaching up to the sky with your left hand. And on your next inhale, look down at the ground. And use your core strength to rise up back to warrior two. From here, revolved warrior, lift your right arm. Breathe into the right side of the ribs. And then on your next inhale, windmill the arms down to the ground or onto your blocks. Step back for plank pose. Lower down halfway. Then you can come all the way down if you want. Bring the tops of the feet onto the mat. We're going to press into the mat to lift up for upward facing dog. So you have a little bit of a micro bend in the elbows. You're looking up if that's okay for your neck. And your knees are off the ground. Just your hands and your feet are on the ground. When you're ready, roll over your toes for downward facing dog. Check your alignment here. Your hands are shoulder distance. Picturing the body as an upside down letter V. Breathing into the backs of the legs, lifting your hips. Remember, if your heels don't come to the ground, you can always bend your knees. You just want to keep pressing out of the bottoms of the feet to try to get those heels down, but no worries if you're not there yet. On your next inhale, step forward with your left leg. Come onto your fingertips, long spine. Lift your right heel off the ground, and on your next inhale, lift your arms all the way up overhead. High lunge. Slowly find your way into warrior two. Feel that your arms are parallel with the ground. Arms are plugged into the body, but you're reaching out of your fingertips. Arms are so strong that if someone were to try to press your arms down, if they were walking by you, then your arms wouldn't move. Look down at the outer edge of your right foot. It's parallel to the short edge of the mat, and then when you're ready, settle in by looking out over your left middle finger. Deep breath in, deep breath out. And as you inhale, come forward with the torso, rotate the arms. And you can bring your hands down to the ground. Now, if they don't get there, you can use your block. And if the block is too short, you can just flip it. Getting a good grip on it. Making sure that left knee isn't in front of your ankle. And keep that sensation of reaching up to the sky with your right hand. Draw shoulder blades toward one another. Keep your chest open. Press into the outer edge of the right foot. Use your core strength to keep your torso upright. Try not to drop all your weight into your left wrist. You really want to have the sensation that it almost doesn't matter whether your bottom hand is holding on to anything or if it's touching the ground, because you're holding yourself up with your core strength. On your next inhale, look down at the ground, rise up for warrior two. And then go right into reverse warrior. Breathe into the left ribs. And as you inhale, windmill your arms down. We're going to come into plank pose. You can come down halfway, and then maybe all the way down. And from here in, lifting up for upward facing dog. So just your feet and your hands are on the ground. Little micro bend in your elbows. Don't lock out your elbows. Look straight ahead or look up. Whatever feels best for your neck. And then when you're ready, roll over your toes, take downward facing dog. Let your head go, shake out your head if you're feeling tension in your neck. long armpits as you push the mat away, reaching the heels down to the ground, but bending your knees if they don't get there. On your next inhale, we're going to walk the hands back to the feet and then round your back and roll all the way up. From here, lift your arms up overhead. And exhale, send the right arm forward, left arm back behind you, making a really big circle. And at the top of that circle, we'll send the left arm forward, right arm back. And then bring the hands to the heart. Take a big step forward with the right foot. And then take warrior 2 feet. So look down at the outer edge of your left foot. It's parallel to the short edge of the mat. And then we're just going to turn the toes in ever so slightly. From here, open up your arms. Warrior 2 arms. So your arms feel like they're parallel with the ground. And then on your next inhale, you're going to come forward with just the torso. So your legs are locked out, but you really want to make sure to activate your quads. You don't want to just let your quad muscle kind of droop because you can hyperextend your leg that way. So really make this muscle very firm as you come forward, and then bring your arms to rotate to 12 and 6 o'clock. Now, if your hands aren't coming down, your right hand isn't coming down to the ground, you have some options. You can flip your block and hold it here. Or if you feel like there's more space, you can bring the block down. We're going to do the same thing. So just try to have your fingertips on the block this time around and see what happens. See if you can activate the core here, the obliques, to keep your body light and lifted, making sure to keep those leg muscles long and strong. Look up at your left thumb if that's okay for your neck, or look straight down. And when you're ready, we're going to activate that front leg muscle as much as you can, and then lift using your core strength. Bend your front knee and step back. You're going to do the same thing on the other side. When you're ready, big step forward with the left leg. You're going to turn the right foot out so that your outer edge of your right foot is in line with the short edge of the mat, and then just turn the toes in ever so slightly. Open up your arms. Activate your leg muscles, and then reach forward with your torso and rotate your arms. Again, decide which side of the block you'd like to use. Or maybe you don't need a block at all and you're reaching all the way down to the ground. Just know that wherever you are, it's perfectly okay. We all have to start somewhere. So just let wherever you are be enough. Option to look up at your right thumb or look down at the ground, depending on how your neck is feeling today. Try to keep your chest open. Feel like you're really opening your heart as you lift here. Draw shoulder blades toward one another. Arms are long and strong. Using your core muscles to stay light and lifted. And on your next inhale, we'll rise up. Bend your front leg and step back. From here, take a walk to the front of your mat and bring your blocks in front of you. You're going to take the feet so they're together, the big toe mounds are touching, and then look down at your feet, lift your toes, and spread them as wide as you can, set them down. As you inhale, follow your breath from the bottoms of your feet all the way up through your body. So as you breathe in, feeling length in the shins, feeling the kneecaps lift and your quads engage, feeling your whole body get really long as the breath moves up through your torso. Then lift your arms, reach to the sky at the top of your breath. When you can't take any more air in, swan dive forward, closing your eyes, and let your hands come down wherever they reach before your back rounds. So if you're coming down here and you're looking like this is a stretch for your back. What we're trying to do now in this forward fold is stretch the backs of the legs. So in order to do that, we need to think about having the stomach reach the thighs. So only keep your fingers down to the ground if your stomach is able to reach your thighs, like this. If that's not the case for you, I would say to come down as far as you can with a flat, low back. So that might mean that you're here with your hands on your blocks. Your head is hanging heavy. That might mean that you're here, which is cool too. Or it might mean that you're here, which is also cool. It so doesn't matter whether your hands are touching the ground. What matters is whether your low back is long, your stomach is touching your thighs, your head is hanging heavy. So just be mindful of where you are and be mindful of that hamstring stretch. And when you're feeling something in your hamstrings, breathe. Use your breath to comb through that tension. On your next inhale, we're going to lift halfway. So bring your hands down to your blocks or to the ground, whatever works for you. We're going to lift halfway, little micro bend in your legs here, long spine. Draw your shoulder blades toward one another and look down at the ground about 3 feet out in front of you. And as you exhale, we'll forward fold again. So again, trying to keep your low back long, little micro bend in the knees if you need to, or a big bend, who cares. What's most important is that you continually try to press out through the backs of the knees there to straighten out, but you want to do that mindfully. On your next inhale, we're going to bend so deeply that we come to sit down on the ground, and we'll extend the legs. With the blocks together and out in front of you, extend your legs so your feet are flat. And then reach underneath your sitting bones to remove any extra flesh there. And then come down until you touch your shins. Take a deep breath in, get long. Exhale, come forward just a little bit. Again, so we just did this exact same posture, but we were standing on the ground. Now we're sitting on the ground and doing the same posture. So you want to think about that low back staying really long. If you're here, that's not so great because that's a back stretch. So if you're here, that's much better because now it's a hamstring stretch. Use the blocks to keep your feet flat. And what this does is help to ensure that you're really stretching the hamstrings. And it's a really nice way to also improve the strength in the little muscles in the feet. We have lots of little muscles in the feet that we can strengthen by keeping them flexed like this. The other way you can use the blocks is if you're feeling pretty flexible and you can reach around to the bottom here, you can grab hold, pull your heart so it lifts, and then exhale, come forward. So you can kind of use the blocks like a yoga strap here. The other option is to bring the blocks down by your sides with about 3 inches on either side or so. And then use them to kind of pull yourself forward and lift, and exhale, pull yourself down. So a number of different ways to use the blocks to help deepen your practice. As you inhale, halfway lift. And as you exhale, gently release. We're going to bend the right leg and bring the right foot to your inner thigh. Bring your blocks to either side of your left leg, about 4 inches or so from either side of your ankle, depending on your flexibility. If this is not possible for you and you need to be back here, that's totally fine. Again, this is going to be a stretch for the hamstrings and the low back. So on your next inhale, square your upper body over your left leg. And then get tall and come forward as much as you can before your low back rounds. So this is a great place to be. this is not so great a place to be. So just be really mindful here. Try to keep your foot flexed. You can even play around with spreading the toes manually and trying to teach them how to spread on their own, developing the muscles in the feet. When you do that, you'll notice major improvement in your balancing practice. On your next inhale, lift up halfway, and then we'll deepen the stretch by going back into it. So you have another option of keeping the blocks up here if you're very, very tight. And just trying to find the place where your stomach and your thigh meets. On your next inhale, rise, and we'll take it to the other side. So bring the left foot into the inner right thigh. Blocks come about 4 inches or so from either side of the ankle or the shin, depending on your flexibility. You're going to square the upper body over your right leg. Be tall here. You can even start with it up here. And as you exhale, come forward, trying to find a meeting spot for your stomach and your thighs. Or just your one thigh, your right thigh. Deep breath in. Exhale fully. Try to find a little bit of movement with each exhale, but no rush to really get anywhere. Explore what you're feeling. Comb through any tension you're experiencing in your hamstring with your breath. And let each exhale bring a release. You can also, if you're feeling very flexible, bring the block to the bottom of the foot and then really come into it fully. So lots of ways to use the props to help you. We're going to take a deep breath in and lengthen, and exhale and deepen. And as you inhale, rise up. And gently release. Come forward a bit on your mat and bring your feet together and your knees together with your feet halfway out away from you. From here, bring your blocks to either side, just off your mat maybe, depending on how short you are. I'm pretty short, so we'll keep them a little bit on my mat. From here, we're going to come into Tabata Konasana. So bring the bottoms of the feet to touch, and the knees will open up as you gently come to lie down. And with your hands, you can place them on your stomach. You can bring your arms up overhead. You can open up your arms like a cactus. Whatever feels best for you, do that. And then bring your awareness to your legs. And let your knees be really heavy. Let this pose be entirely effortless. And as you close your eyes and continue to breathe, feel the sensation that with each exhale, you're being pulled by gravity further into a relaxing state. Begin to scan your body from your head to your toes. Just noticing where you can let go. Where are you still holding your tension, your stress, your worries? And see if you can let go as you exhale. When you're ready, begin to wiggle your fingers and toes. And then come up to a comfortable seated position. Bring one hand to your heart, one hand to your stomach, and close your eyes. And just take a moment to acknowledge your practice, your health, and all the good things you have in your life. And then we'll end the same way we began. So without actually smiling, bring the sensation of a smile to your face. And let that positivity carry you throughout the rest of your day. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. Namaste.